Hello, it's Craig.
Yay, that's off-putting.
Yeah, I fucking hate it.
No, he's a good boy. He's good beans.
Yeah, well,
He looks like a Five Nights at
me
Freddy's
and Craig. Me and Craig are like a combo deal. If you're fucking with Craig, I'm walking. I'm starting a fucking.
I know, no. All right.
Hell,
I walk
okay?
it back. I walk it back.
Yeah.
I don't walk it back. I'll stand on business.
If I unionize, this show doesn't fucking happen. Okay.
Yeah, it's you and Craig. I can't.
Yeah, without him, I'd have to deal with your fucking industrial cooler heat cooling down your PC, Bugs.
In my defense, it's my partner's PC.
Okay, get a divorce. I don't know what to tell you. Your business is on the line, goddammit.
We'll figure it out. Honestly, I think we just need a longer USB cable so I can sit 3 feet further away. But yeah, no, it's heinous. I know it's heinous. I apologize.
It's okay. But never insult Craig again.
Apologies. Craig,
Thank
you're my good little bear boy. I will give you honey
Don't call him
and a
that.
hug.
That's so demeaning. Jesus Christ.
Craig, you're a solid worker and a comrade.
Craig
Thank
probably plays blue.
Thank
He deserves it.
Hey, I play blue.
Yeah, of course.
I have nothing more to say to you.
Actually, I have a mono blue mill popper deck.
I just are your parents proud of you for that one, or?
Hey, hello, and welcome to Podatog, where we talk pods, and talk about Magic the Gathering and funny little pieces of cardboard. My name is Bugs Matrix, and with me today is the illustrious
Jordan Black, and today we are actually welcoming another guest, Cirrus, from the I suppose the YouTube channel Cirrus. That's probably the thing most people know you from, right?
Probably, but if they're over on this side of the internet, it's probably my Cirrus MTG channel. At least I would hope.
And what else do you do? You just mentioned you do Magic the Gathering. I knew you before that from your political content on YouTube.
Yep, I have my main channel, Sirius, where I talk about politics, which I just came back from a 3-month hiatus from. Everything's on fire. But I have another channel as well called Sirius Vidya that I haven't posted on in a while, mostly because I haven't had. You know when you have the inspiration to build something and then suddenly it's gone and you're like, man, was that a hyperfixation or I don't know anymore. That's what that channel ended up being for me, and I hate it.
That's so fucking real. I'm so sorry.
I look, as somebody who has, we talked about this last week, Bugs, but as somebody who has 30 or so commander decks, yes, I do know what it's like to have a hyperfixation and then feel like maybe you wasted a little bit of time on it.
How do you keep track of that? Like,
Wait.
genuinely?
Oh, they're in boxes. Each one has its own deck box.
Well, yeah, but like, do you not, like, I keep a running, like, mental, like, spreadsheet of where every different copy of my different cards are in my commander decks and my non-commander decks. And
okay, so I have 3 pages in my, like, because if it's a card that I might really want to use, like it's something that is usually my value cards, I keep a copy of it I usually only have 1 copy in my binder, my like trades binder that is just, it's not for trades, it's just like here's my anointed procession or whatever. And then I just either make or buy a bunch of proxies of those cards. That way I actually own the card.
Yeah, you do the shuffle proxy.
I'm not worried about I'm not worried about like either A, damaging it, or B, losing it and not being able to put it in like another deck or something.
That makes far more sense than what I do, which is just kind of perpetual mental load.
I am way too much of a budget player for that to be a consideration for me.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. I'm not going out and like buying these big cards. They're usually just cards that I pull.
Yeah, what I'm saying is for me, like when I build a deck and I feel like it's complete, it's because it finally has a Shockland in it.
Oh yeah.
So like most of the decks that I keep about 28 on me whenever I go to the card shop. And so when I hear like 30 and then somebody else going, that's too many. I'm just sitting there I'm literally looking at my bag going, but how? But how is that
Because-
too
Wait.
many?
You bring 28 with you?
Yeah,
Yes.
actually, yeah. Well, let's not gloss over that. Hold on.
Okay, so USA Gear makes, and this is not a paid thing. They don't. My bag's falling apart. It's not great for what I'm using it for. But USA Gear used to make only camera bags, and Magic the Gathering players started buying their products to put Magic decks in them, and their USA Gear camera bag can fit about 30 decks in it alone, as long as you put them in. I think it's Gamegenics. They have a very small. They have a very small, not the boulders, but a very small, tight fit, thin plastic box. It's flexible, so like you can throw it against a wall without it breaking. If you put your decks in all those, they all fit in there, and so I keep a bunch of things in there. So there's usually 4 or 5 decks I have that are in progress, and those go into one of those 4-pack boxes, and then everything else goes into a deck box. And I also have a separate section which contains my modern decks, my Pioneer decks, and then I have 3 of my $15 decks, which is the main thing I do on my channel, and I keep 1 pre-con in there in case somebody's like a brand new player and they want to play brand new Magic, and I'm not going to be the douche that says, I'll play my budget deck that's half the price of your pre-con, but I'm willing to bring into the tournaments, because that's kind of a douchey way to introduce somebody into Magic.
Yeah, I'm going to curb stomp you with $15. Watch this. Like, yeah, which, I mean, credit where
There's
credit's due, at least.
I can tell.
You can play Magic cheaply, and it's great, but...
Yeah, but anyway, I guess that wow, 30 decks. When I travel places, I tend to bring like a couple of decks, but even that is like, okay, I'm gonna bring 4 decks. And like even on a night where I'm like, gosh, I really don't know what I want to play at an LGS, the most I'll probably bring is like maybe 8. Because generally I've been and granted, this is a new development because I've been working on myself. I've been trying to center myself. I've been focusing my chi and my magic feng shui, because I did build so many decks, and there are so many decks that I just like I don't play, or I played once and it did the thing, and I just like have no desire to do that thing again. Namely Selesnya Elves.
Oh yeah, that's a very one-trick pony.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I played it. I didn't even win, but I played it. I did the elf thing. It didn't do the elf thing amazingly, but it did the elf thing well enough. And I was like, you know what, this is fine for me. And I like doing, and we'll probably talk about this with Aether Drift a little bit, but I like doing one of my favorite things, as we were talking about just at the beginning, is like typal that is multicolor, or trying to play outside of what people traditionally do with those types. So, for example, I have a mono red vampire deck that is one of my favorite things.
Is it the girl that came out of Jumpstart that works the blood tokens?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I love her.
She's awesome. She's fucking.
And I made
great.
I think I've showed it to Bugs, but I'll have to show it to you, Cyrus. But I made because I hated the art on that one, so I made a Blood Rain proxy.
Oh, you don't like how every single part of her body screams sexualized, sexy vampire, but then her face is just randomly emaciated?
Yeah, her face is just like an old
she's weird. She's weird because you're like,
it's very weird.
You're just like, huh? Okay, so Wizards is hag posting. Got it.
You know what? No shame, no shame.
But
well, so that's like one example of my vampires. I have green-white vampires with Galta and Maverin, and that's kind of like, if I'm going to play Selesnya, that's how I'm playing it.
Yeah.
And then the one that I've been kind of hyperfixating on is Dimir vampires, because there are really only a handful of Dimir vampires, and a decent amount of them aren't great. Like the power creep is there are a lot of the kind of older like Ravnica cards that are like, okay,
like Saz deck
7.
And
it's funny you mentioned Zadok, because that is one of the cards that I was like, when I got him, I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to play this. This is incredibly unviable, because he's like a 7 drop for like a 4/4 or something ridiculous. But his ability let me look it up really quick.
Yes, if he punches you in the schnoggin, you get that many 1/1 counters on him, and then you mill all the cards based on the damage you would have done.
Yes,
That's
and then
pretty decent.
it's I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty rough, especially with if you look up another vampire that is in that deck I had, Westgate Regent.
Oh, I love
Oh,
Westgate
yeah.
Regent.
Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, put that many 1/1 counters on it. And then when you take into account that the deck is built entirely around Cypher cards.
Oh my god, I love Cypher cards.
which is a Ravnica mechanic, which makes sense.
Oh, it's
too.
a Ravnica ass. So that's the other thing I do. Hello, sirs. Welcome to my Magic Hour, where I just talk about my stupid methodology about building decks. But
and I yes
love,
and it.
Oh yeah, basically, and I just love keeping everything all self-contained and cozy. So like I've been building out one of my other favorite decks that I have absolutely been adoring, and I've been really figuring her out. What started as, and this has been another benefit to actually playing the decks instead of just trying them once and then putting them away, has been Judith Carnage Connoisseur, who is
God.
a absolute. Bugs and I have talked about this
She's
extensively.
the Rakdos one, right?
Yes,
she's
Murders.
she's heinous.
Oh,
She
I know who
is-
she is. I made a video on her.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can build her. You can make her board wipes tribal. You can make her spell slingy. Like she's
Yep.
I deal 1 damage to everything. It's a board wipe.
Yeah, I deal 1 damage to everything,
it's
and then
other
I blasphemous act and gain 600 life.
Other Judith. It's the Judith that whenever you play an instant or sorcery, you choose the spell. It either gets Death Touch and Lifelink.
Yeah.
Or you make
That's the one we're talking about.
Yeah,
where you play like a volcanic fallout style card, and every opponent's thing takes 2, but they die because the spell had Death Touch and Lifelink.
Oh yeah. Okay. No. Board wipes. Yep. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I've been doing that too. I've put in about 3 or 4 cards that are like, okay, here's a 1-drop that just pings all opponents' creatures for 1.
Oh yeah, and the festivities.
But it's also been like it's become a bit of a just an aesthetic project too, trying to get really good, like very theatrical Rakdos and Ravnica cards like Curtain Call and Oh, there's that one that is like every turn everybody loses 4 life, or no, they lose half their life rounded up every turn at the beginning of each upkeep. Which is another nightmare Ravnica card, and I love that. And it's I'm a big fan of playing on theme, aesthetics above utility.
I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of the recent Magic sets have ticked me off. Because they've just been like, what's the story of Thunder Junction? Everybody's got cowboy hats. Okay.
The story of Thunder Junction,
and loot's important.
The story of Thunder Junction
don't
is
talk
that
ill about my son loot. Don't talk ill about my son loot.
I just actually made, speaking of vampires, I just got done making Vampire Cowboys the deck. So the story of Thunder Junction is yeehaw vampires.
That's like, stupid as fuck. I love it.
It's Olivia is so fucking good in that. Opulent Outlaw fucking goes stupid hard with Vampire Outlaws.
Like that's the thing. Like so when I was growing up playing Magic, I grew up in the era where we had fat packs, where you'd get a novel based on whatever set you were getting the fat pack for, and then you would get your 8 booster packs, and you would get a little book that contained the entire spoiler for the whole set. So that was like a whole freaking experience. Like, this is your introduction to whatever world this set is taking place on. Here's your lore. Here's your story. Here's all your cards so you know what you're going to be able to find in this set. And here's some booster packs so that you can, gamble a little bit as a child.
I mean, look, child gambling, it's all the rage. Like, have you seen sports betting?
I know, right? So
and this would have been like era of like blocks, right?
Mm-hmm. This is block era.
And this would have been era of books. Like I am as we speak, I am staring at a Kamigawa book 2 of the Kamigawa book cycle that they used to do.
So I I miss when that was a thing, because even though the books weren't great, they still were a good dump of lore, and they still made you pay attention to the characters in the set in a way that I feel like mattered more than what we have right now. Now we have the 5-chapter set with every single set, and then the sets themselves are all technically self-contained stories, but part of a grander narrative. And I want to talk about Aether Drift for just a second.
Oh yeah, no.
This would probably be the perfect actual springboard into Aether Drift, because we are both of the same mind. I feel, because I would love to have books again. I would love to have, especially as somebody who's been dipping their toes dipping their toes into like Warhammer 40K. The thing that immediately strikes me about Warhammer, like not just 40K, like Age of Sigmar and the classic era, all that stuff.
The lore is just
how much there is. Like you can go into any LGS and you will find just
like shelves and shelves and shelves and shelves.
Yeah. Like there's just so many books out there to go through, books, games, RPGs, all this stuff. And I feel that Magic across all of the planes, and especially the classic planes, especially in like the Urza block and Dominaria and Ravnica and all of these we were talking about. We got to talk about the movie announcement, by the way, Bugs.
Oh, right. God.
But like there is, if not more than at least the same level of depth and richness to the world building that I certainly would like to see brought out more prominently.
Like so right now in the lore, the big thing is let's juggle loot. That's what it's been since Thunder Junction. It's been let's juggle loot because of his ability to basically rewrite history. Like that's his thing. So the fact that there's little bits of information that I like in Aether Drift, like, hey, this place is called Avishkar now because all of the nobles of Kaladesh failed during the Phyrexian invasion to save the proletariat. So the proletariat rose up, and they had this whole set of things they wanted to do that are now going to be more commonplace in Avishkar. Cool. That stuff I'm okay with. It may be my political leanings that make me okay with that, but like I'm okay with that stuff. What I'm not okay with is, hey, remember when we killed Jace like 10 sets ago? So he's the sort of kind of villain, kind of sort of. Not really. We don't know. Chandra thinks that Jace is going to bully the little guy. We're uncertain. But here's Jace again. We definitely totally killed him in that one scene before the world tree got collapsed. But definitely he's back now.
I've really been enjoying like even just like the self-contained stories for these sets, aside from and also Jace is there.
Because freaking Bloomborough has the B story of Val just running everywhere going, I need to kill Jace! I need to find him!
Or fucking Jace just popping up for like 30 seconds in Duskborn until like, and then Kaido's like, what the fuck? And then Jace and Vraska are seen like distantly in one other scene, and then it ends with, oh, and Valgavoth has loot now.
But now Valgavoth doesn't have loot because
and I'm like, oh my god, Valgavoth having loot. This could go somewhere really interesting. That's terrifying.
Now Jace and Vraska have loot again, and they're going to Tarkir for reasons, I guess.
I mean, like it's. I do love that there is a sort of like Team Rocket coding of Jace, Vraska, and loot.
Jace and Vraska blasting off again.
like there is like a camp satisfaction that I find with that, but also it's like, okay, but like this. It feels so deeply like MCU storytelling, like Thanos era MCU.
I was just about to say that, especially given like apparently all the reviews for the latest movie just make it sound like more of the exact same stringing people along, just cape shit slop.
Right, yeah. Like just do something. Just say something, go somewhere. Like because I found Aether Drift as a story to be like really fun, and I liked all of the different like racing factions, and I thought that like, oh, it's a story that's like not contained to one plane, but we're like jumping from here to there to there. Like that allowed me to get more on board with the art design being like, here's the Mad Max guys, here's the we've got people on like light cycles, we've got the shark guys, but they're all
like I like Amonkhet having all of the undead and living coming together, and they're just
oh
like, hey,
my
by
God.
the way, Bolus kind of screwed us, but we can make our plane better if we get the Aether Spark.
Yeah.
So then do we want to start by talking about kind of what we like about the set first?
I like seeing the other planes get caught up a little bit. Like I like going back to Amonkhet.
Oh yeah.
I like seeing that. I like seeing the end of the political revolution in Avishkar. I like seeing that stuff. My problem is that I don't get to do more with it.
And I think that's I'm going to tie this into set mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed, at least in like limited environments, I've really enjoyed Start Your Engines and Exhaust like as things. I think that like, Start Your Engines gives a great incentive to be like turning guys sideways. It has fun payoffs for like later into a match. Like it helps close games. I enjoyed it. Exhaust, I think, is also a really wacky, like, I love how it's like, oh, but you can only do this once, and then immediately everyone's out, oh no, you can, trust me, you can do this way more than once.
It's a Blink player's wet dream, is what it is.
Or a graveyard player. I don't know if you've been paying attention to, like, any of the standard decks being tested right now, but, like, one of the most viable things to do is, get loot into an Agatha's Soul Cauldron.
Mm-hmm.
And then start putting 1/1 counters on shit. Like I've mostly been seeing Insidious Roots builds. And I love that, let's just cook loot.
I'm just gonna throw loot into my my Hardened Scales modern deck real quick.
Oh.
So that because that already runs a playset of Soul Cauldrons.
Oh, that is going to be heinous. I love it.
So I don't hate the cards from the set. I think this is my problem with this set is not that the cards are bad. I like the cards. I like the mechanics.
I hate that. How are we going to see these mechanics again?
That's kind of where my issue is it's like I said, 5 minutes ago. My issue isn't what I've seen. My issue is that I want to see more, and I feel like this set cannot, or this set of ideas cannot deliver more to me without giving me another race idea, or with the story bits, I can't get more of this individual story without returning to any of these planes. But we've seen, based on the projection for what's coming out of Magic Project for the next couple of years, I'm not going to be going back to any of these planes anytime soon. Not especially since they're spacing out our standard releases even further now, to make room for the Universes Beyond releases. This means that, like, what I want to see, I like seeing that society is rebuilding after what Bolus did to Amonkhet, but I want an entire set in Amonkhet where I can actually see that society learn how to flourish in the wake of Bolus. Because one of the cool things about Amonkhet was that the first part of its block was built to be, this is the society that lives with the dead. Isn't that so cool? And the second block was, and here's how Bolus screws it all up for everyone.
Right.
And that was really cool. I want them to go back and do that again, because I want blocks back. I just want blocks back.
I would, the way that I would kill for like a Bloomburrow block, like I loved Bloomburrow.
Like I want to be able to follow more characters than just Mabel.
Yeah.
And if you had a block, I'd be able to follow more than just Rahl and Mabel, because the story we got was effectively a couple chapters dedicated to, and Rahl is chasing Jace, and then everything else is, and Mabel is scared. And I'm fine with Mabel being scared and going on her hero's journey. That's fine with me, but I want more.
Yeah, no, like it's I'm such a slut for like funny little guy worlds. Like I'm stoked to eventually get back to Lorwyn, etc. But like just yeah, it feels like we're not given any time to fucking breathe with any of these releases. And I would even go so far as to say, like, I barely had a chance to play anything with the Innistrad remastered like limited space
Because a
before
couple
Aether Drift
weeks later,
pre-release.
Aether Drift came out.
And it's like, and I like Innistrad fucks.
Innistrad is man. That's another thing. I'm so upset with what they did to Innistrad
Fair.
in Crimson Vow. I was very concerned when that set came out, and we were back in Innistrad, but the actual effects of like locking Emrakul in the moon were so minor.
Not yeah.
Like the night cycle was getting worse, and that mattered a lot. But if that is completely linked to Emrakul, we don't fully know. And how does the fact that average citizens in Innistrad don't look up at their moon and go, "Huh, there's tentacles in that thing," and just like comments on it.
Right. Like, I'm sorry, if Cthulhu was in my moon, I would not stop thinking about that.
Yeah, that's not a thing you just ignore. That's a thing that's there for a while.
And
I mean,
arguably, that is the idea of an evil god being inside of a moon should be a launching off point for like even more worldwide terrors.
Or a cult.
Yeah.
Or a cult of Emrakul. It's Innistrad.
Stuff.
Yeah, no, like, actually, yeah, why were we not having a cult of Emrakul? Give me that.
Because we had cults. We know that the influence of the Eldrazi begets cults, because that's what happened on Zendikar. They had whole mythoses about gods they thought had passed away in their world, and they had monuments erected to these gods, not realizing they were the Eldrazi, basically corrupting the soil and their earth. They did not know that. And I feel like Innistrad, a place that is, spooky ooky and has cults basically just kind of stitched into its society.
Well, because I also feel like as political commentary, I mean, I know Magic's not like the most politically engaged thing, but like having this just like an ambient evil growing presence in a set dropped in what, like 2021, 2022. I don't know. I feel like there's maybe something that could be said.
Something there,
There's maybe some
evil within,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
but this is emblematic of a wider problem, because we were talking about with just the kind of fallout from the March of the Machine and the Phyrexian invasions.
What fallout from March of the Machine?
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Bus network.
Because we.
No, they made Fallout sets. That was
they did make Fallout sets. They also. I also should say, I opened because one of my LGSs had March of the Machine Aftermath epilogue booster boxes on sale for 50% off. I ended up buying a epilogue booster box, and let me tell you, don't do that. Even at 50% off, I felt fucking swindled.
Yeah, the fact that there's only like 50 cards in that set and only 2 or 3 of them are hits.
Oh no, like I straight up opened multiple packs with the same card twice. Like the first pack I opened had 2 of the same card twice, so it was just essentially 1 card, a copy, 1 card, a copy, and then a 3rd card.
So I've opened a little bit of Aftermath, not a whole lot, but enough to get my Kiora, who was one of the things I wanted in the set, and enough to get my Nissa.
Good.
That's as far as I care where that set's concerned. The most Aftermath I've ever opened was during a Wheel of Fortune tournament where we were given collector boosters of March of the Machine and then sets of boosters of Aftermath to combine together to make sealed decks off of, competing for a copy of Wheel of Fortune. That was the only time that I didn't feel bad getting those packs, was when they were just kind of part of effectively a Chaos draft.
And I mean, I guess like at that point, you're not hating getting multiples in a single pack. God, were those functional?
Those were some of the worst decks
like that
ever put together and sealed.
That sounds awful.
It was. So first of all, collector boosters cannot be drafted or used as a sealed deck very well, because they are nothing. They are nothing but bombs and no bones. So
Yep.
like I had like my Sephiroth deck has a copy of Elish Norn Grand Cenobite in it, because that
Yeah.
copy of Elish Norn is the one that I got in that Wheel of Fortune tournament. So I've got a emotional attachment to that thing. And the only games I won were off the back of that Elish Norn, because every person's game was land pass, land pass, land pass, land pass, land pass, land pass, here's a bomb. Because we didn't have any like 1 and 2 mana drops that you would normally get in a sealed environment.
Right.
We just had the mythics and the rares.
Right. And I mean, like, yeah, Elish Norn's gonna close the fucking game because mommy knows how to stomp, but like, jeez.
Yeah, it is one of the most miserable limited environments I have ever played in. Never again.
Like, I've had bad Chaos Draft decks, but like that's just Chaos Draft. Like,
you're going in there
like,
for the memes.
Yeah, I'm here to see if original Theros block and Ravnica remastered and Bloomborough can tell a funny sentence. Like, God.
No, I am happy that was an experiment that was done only once, and I will never do it again. But I don't know. Back on the topic itself at hand, I think the problem with a lot of recent Magic stuff is that I like Magic the Gathering. Paradoxically, I think that's the issue. I like Magic the Gathering, so when Magic the Gathering goes, here's a race car set that takes place on a bunch of planes that has absolutely no mechanical identity unto itself based on any of those planes.
I mean, it has
I'm
cycling.
just like, I mean, yeah, cycling is an Amonkhet mechanic. I mean, it's a mechanic in multiple sets, but Amonkhet had a lot of cycling.
But I get what you're saying, where it's like this is barely engaging with these planes.
Yeah, we're in Kaladesh or Abishkar now. We don't have energy. We're in Amonkhet and we don't have Embalm and Internalize. We're in, what is the third? There was a third.
Muruganda.
We're in Muruganda, and it's a new plane, correct?
So it's been hinted at. There have been creatures from Muruganda in sets before.
And we had the invasion of Muruganda in
yes.
Martial Machine.
And it's just basically dinosaurs, right?
Well, so the I think that the Muruganda representation in Aether Drift is probably the like strongest of the three vis-a-vis what the plane's kind of like thematic core is, because Muruganda historically has been the vanilla creature plane. Like, we've gotten a number of vanilla creatures with flavor text that reference Muruganda, and like that's it. Or like the Mimeoplasm is from Muruganda.
Imperiosaur is from there.
And so like there's so we have a cycle of uncommon monocolor legendary vanilla creatures, for example, and I think that that's really cute. But yeah, like that's and I guess to your point, for the other two mechanics that were like glaringly missing, those were what the commander decks were built around. Whether or not that's a good thing.
Yeah, Gavin made a video about designing the commander decks, mentioning specifically that like all of the zombie mechanics couldn't fit into the set, and all of the energy mechanics couldn't fit into the set because they were going to too many planes at once. And this is kind of what I was worried that the Omen Paths were going to end up like creating. I like the Omen Paths in concept. That is the one bit of Fallout that's happened, because it means that we can have non-planeswalkers go to other planes and screw around with shit, because I'm so tired of every story being a planeswalker story.
Yeah, no, I lore-wise, I find the Omen Paths to be exciting and flavorful, and I just want to see if an Omen Path will lead to, for example, phased out new Phyrexia.
So we know that an Omen Path does technically lead there, because that is where the Omen Paths originated from.
Oh, right.
Because the tree popped out of there. But
right.
Like with Zalfir, when it was phased out, it's like having a door there with cement on the other side. The door's there. If they ever pulled Phyrexia out of that stasis zone, then it would have full access to everything again. But it would be a Phyrexia that doesn't have Norn. It would be a Phyrexia that doesn't have any of the Praetors, actually. I'm curious as to what that Phyrexia is going to look like.
That would be super interesting, going back to, like, the early block of Phyrexia, where... So... we've talked about this at some point, Bugs, where like early Phyrexians in the art style had an entirely different look to them, where they were very much more H.R. Giger versus the
Yawgmoth's Phyrexia.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think it would look more like that, more of a like what's the word I'm looking for? Like a prehistoric Phyrexia, or like a the word I'm looking for.
I don't think New Phyrexia would look that way, only because the Yawgmoth Phyrexia existed as its own plane, and the reason that our Phyrexia looks as like calcified and shit as it is because it was aped on top of Mirrodin.
Right. Like
no, I know, but I'm saying like
world, but I mean,
do something different with that again.
Yeah, like, well, because I mean, the original Phyrexia is also like color identity wise so deeply like mono black. Which I think would I'd be interested to see like the color pie splitting of what this post Praetor Phyrexia could be. Well, I mean, post Praetor ? Is Urabrask? What's
he was taken apart.
He was taken apart,
but I don't think he was killed.
Yeah, like that's save my boy. Like I don't know. I'd be curious to see that. I also have this very like fringe theory that I know is wrong, but I want to be right, that Valgavoth is somehow connected to Yawgmoth just because he's a large moth. Man,
Yawgmoth in control of a Yawgmoth over Phyrexia.
Yeah.
Would be a Phyrexia under complete subjugation, where the rules of reality in that plane can bend at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of my baby boy Valgavoth and my baby boy Winter, I think that is that was the biggest reason why I got into Aether Drift, and I think I share the same issues with there not being enough representation of any of the one group.
Yeah,
really,
because so Duskmourn's here, but
like. What it ends up feeling like is kind of more of a foundations or a core set in a really weird way, where it's like, there is tribal technically, but not in the same way that you expect it from like a regular set, because you're coming from like 8 different tribes, and even within those tribes, like with the Mad Max group, it's not all vampires, or it's not all humans, or it's not all rogues. Like it's still mixed.
They're more loose guild affiliations than they are anything else.
Like very loose guild affiliations.
I mean, yeah, but on the flip side, I do like that leads to just, at least for me, like a breadth of art and like creature and character design. I don't know, like I liked that we got the excuse of, well, Duskmourn's here, so let's have fucking 80s like muscle cars and hot rods. Like, which anyone can say that, like, yeah, and it kind of sucks, and I'm like, well, yeah, but also like,
so I think
we got a thing called the Speed Demon.
And I love that stuff. Like I do like all of the Duskmourn stuff. I like the haunted cars, and like I think there's a lot of interesting ideas there. But then you have that on the same. It's not so much, even for me, the stuff from Avishkar or the stuff from Amonkhet. It's the stuff around the edges, where it's like, okay, here are these little like Wall-E robots, or here are a couple dinosaurs. And it starts to feel like this kind of, I mean, it starts to feel like a content sludge, and there's no real, I think the thing that's really missing is cohesion between them, or they should have cut like 1 or 2 groups and focused more on like, okay, let's build out this idea of being more kind of Mad Maxy and more like Twisted Metal with it, or we build it out in more of the Chandra and the I think the Cloud Spire racers, where it's a little bit more futuristic. It's a little bit more F-Zero.
What's funny about that? Oh, sorry, go on, Bugs.
Or I was just gonna say, I think the issue here is it's only one set. Like, because I mean, like, it's if we have these like 10
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
effectively guilds, like you can't introduce all of Ravnica wacky racers in one set and expect that to be cohesive and
I mean,
expect that to be able to be like fleshed out.
That's what
Well,
they
and
used to do. So like in the
Exactly.
old Ravnica block, the way the sets were introduced, we had 3 sets. We had 3 sets in the block, and each block focused on between 3 and 4 of the guilds.
And that's what I was thinking. Like,
yeah.
And we do each block is centered around each plane as well. Like,
yeah, I would like that. If there's going to be 3 planes that this race is taking part on, then let us explore it across 3 planes of sets. Let me see the raceway zipping around Amonkhet with zombies in the crowd cheering
and
along.
I think that would like that's actually a much better idea, because I think they did try and play up. I think Wizards definitely saw the apprehension from the fan base coming from a mile off on this one. And I think they did try and play up, hey, Amonkhet is back. Hey, Avishkar is back. Hey, there are these, here's some magic. But I think that having a set more built around those and putting a spin on those, so to speak, as opposed to what this is, where it feels very much like it just feels like set dressing. Like it doesn't feel like there is any, like you were talking about earlier, there's any mechanical reason to be there.
Yeah,
they could have picked any 3 planes. They could have picked any 3 planes, and we would have had the same results.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe Ravnica would have been kind of hard, but like if they would have gone to Ravnica, people would have rioted. Actually, we should have gone to Innistrad, just because I want to see what weird Innistrad cars look like.
We should have gone
carriages.
We should have gone. Hear me out. We should have gone to Ikoria, because the mount system raises political hackles. In Ikoria.
Oh shit! I hadn't. Ooh.
That would have been super interesting.
That's fun as shit. I mean, I also, back when this was announced, before they said which planes we're going to be on, I was like, we should go to Bloomborough just because I want to see everyone turn into little tiny guys, just for like part of the race. But ooh, god, Ikoria would have been sick.
Because like the political implications of there being humans riding dinosaur mounts running into Ikoria and just having all of the populace, like all the human populace of Ikoria, just look up and scream.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying that's a set that is mechanically changed. Not mechanically changed, but that is a set that is story-wise changed by the mere presence of the mount system walking through.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think there's any way to get around Avishkar being like the core plane for this, just because of how vehicles are so mechanically.
It's where the vehicle mechanic is from.
Like we can, and I mean, like we were saying earlier, I really do like that. Wizards took this opportunity to update, right or wrong, vis-a-vis the naming in a way that I felt was done pretty cleanly, all things considered. But yeah, no, like why did we go to Amonkhet? Why did we go to Muruganda when it could have been Ikoria, or why didn't we go to, oh my god, what's the name of the Battle Bond plane?
That's a very good question. I don't remember. Hold on.
I'm blanking on it, but like why didn't we go, like that feels super core. Kylum, yeah, let's go to Kylum. Like that would be aesthetically...
because Kylum already had like arenas and competition as a huge like centerpiece for its culture.
Yeah, so let's go to Kylum. Like, and I mean, I was just praising him. Like, I love how they did Muruganda. I think Muruganda is like, it's the primeval fucking, the sky is literally falling. It's covered in dinosaurs. Most of the societies are like lizard men. Like that shit rocks. There was the side story from like the POV of one of the lizard guys. It's like pulpy ass fucking Conan the Barbarian shit. It's awesome. But like, yeah, I think that the most cohesive like team in this, frankly, and this might have just been my limited experience, was the goblins.
What with Doretti?
Yeah, like Doretti and all of the goblins that are from some other plane that just kind of like flew through an Owen path or something. I forget the exact lore of how they showed up. But
I really like the goblins in this set. I like
I think
the fact that there is a lot of green in the goblins.
yeah,
Like the
I love
afterburner expert, I think, is one of them.
right. Or there's the green red legendary goblin. The boost buggy kicks ass. Like I think that I found the goblins played extremely well together. And again, this is probably just because I was on goblins big mana, trying to cast dinosaurs, and that just made 13-year-old me so happy that I'm like, yeah, what am I doing now in life? Big goblin dinosaurs.
I will say Aganosaur Rex is like very fun and limited, and also maybe one of the most clear examples of power creep I've seen in a minute.
It's landing that thing.
Because you can in a limited environment, especially in sealed, you can get it out on turn 5, and then it's just an 8/8 trampler. It's disgusting.
If you can get, I've gotten it out on turn 4.
I'm gonna be honest.
Because especially in Gruul, there are a lot of like mana tricks.
Yeah, you were saying
Sky Serpent Seeker is probably one of my favorite cards from this set.
What did she do again?
It's the flying death touch, and then you can pay 4 to rip 2 lands off the top of the deck and throw them on the battlefield.
Oh, that's heinous.
So yeah, I love the flying death touch combination whenever I can shove it into the deck. So like, the Saheeli Precon that came with this set.
Yeah.
I took the Triplicate Titan out of the Precon. I threw a Hornet Queen in.
Oh, let's go!
I want to clone Hornet Queens instead.
Yeah.
Because I like flying death touch. I like Baleful Strix. I like Ice Fang Quaddle. Give me flying and death touch when I can mix those two things together so that the dragon player from across the table can't screw with me. Give me a flying death touch creature that also has an explosive vegetation just attached to its ass.
Yeah, just sure, why not? Oh my god. I mean, for me,
that's happy times for me.
Oh my god. Honestly, the thing that did the most work for me in Limited was the Venom Sack Lagak.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, it's a 2/1 death toucher, and most vehicles aren't
Venom
flying.
Sack Lagak does good stuff too.
Oh my god. I closed games with a Lagak. Lagak combat tricks, baby.
Torbeck's gonna Lagak.
Go up Lagakin. Like, it also, I mean, like, it's the Lagak. What more can you want from the fucking Lagak?
I mean, as a fan of Spitfire Lagak.
Oh, yeah. Spitfire Lagak.
I want more, I want more lizards you can saddle. My thirst for rideable dinosaurs has not been satiated.
Are there any dino mounts in this?
I think there's 1 or 2, but not nearly enough for a set about vehicles and including dinosaurs.
I mean, well, because they'd all be Muragondan dinosaurs, which are probably harder to ride.
Get those.
I mean, the characters literally got attacked when they went through Muragonda in the story. They actually got attacked by the populace.
Right. Like, scrolling through, I'm not seeing any mountable dinosaurs.
I mean, Caradora is definitely riding a very dinosaur-like mount, but
Caradora was the card I opened the most of, the rare I got the most of, so me and Caradora are on the outs.
I don't know. I mean, I guess like the Draconautics engineers basically. Oh no, there is the Dracosaur auxiliary is a dinosaur dragon mount. There we go.
Can I just say the fact that Doretti has gotten just more and more thick every single time we've seen him in a set.
I love that for him.
Just the fact that he's just, well, this wheelchair's treating me right.
Good for him. Like, God, I don't like there's so much about the set that I like and want to like, that we just keep running into like, but why are we going to then be jumping over to Tarkir in 3 seconds, and then after that we're going to space, and then like just pick.
I would like to have, because I will keep reminiscing about this, but the fact that we got to spend a year on a plane was perfect. And like,
Yeah.
if you wanted to have, you have these 3 planes, and the first set is this giant race, and then the next 2 sets are like the fallout from this. Or you could have the first set is the prep, the second set is the race, and the third set is the fallout from the result of this. I mean, if you want to have Magic the Gathering is Philadelphia for a little while, I'm okay with that, because that's Rakdos style chaos. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
what happens when the Eagles win?
like,
yeah.
Amonkhet 1. Why is that going to matter? I would like a set that explores why that matters, but we're not going to get that.
Well,
I
I
mean-
guess this for me, this brings up the question of what does Edge of Eternities look like, and is Edge of Eternities going to be another case of Amonkhet, where it is like something that is just spread across multiple worlds and nothing really has that sense of cohesion?
I mean, I'm hoping that it's more, we're only like, I mean, a Magic set on 0 planes, like it's only Blind Eternities shit, could maybe be cool.
Somebody,
Maybe?
I was speculating at an LGS, and somebody was like, "Yeah, it would be super cool if it was like more 70s, like Hyperborean, like Frank Franzetta or airbrush sci-fi."
Oh, we're looking at
And I
like
was
radio
like-
drama sci-fi now?
I would hope that would be super cool and rad.
That would be
and I think-
kick-ass.
Yeah, I think that would be better than just like, hey, it's kind of Star Wars, or it's kind of Mass Effect, or whatever. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of it to really level any judgment, but I am tentative. I'm tentatively both excited about the potential it has, and then worried after Aether Drift, I guess.
Yeah, I really don't know what to think after Aether Drift. Just like, because at this point I've definitely had my fill on hyper themey like one-shot sets.
I'm so tired of
Um,
silly hats. I'm so tired of silly hats.
I think that I've said it before. I think that the silly hats worked for me for this set in particular, just because I'm like, okay, well, like, yeah, they're wearing racing gear because they're racing.
Because they have to be racing. It's the one time it made sense. Why were they wearing hats in Ravnica? Why was everybody wearing detective hats in Ravnica? Why did that become a fad?
They were wearing detective hats in Ravnica to piss us off personally.
Like the one time, I will say, I didn't mind the silly hats when it came to New Capenna, only because the story of New Capenna was about the planeswalkers there trying to be low profile, so they dressed like the populace. That made sense to me, because many of them were undercover. Like freaking the reveal that Urabrask was just injured and hidden there, while freaking Tezzeret wearing a fedora goes up to Vivian, is just like, "Milady, don't kill me." Like, I'm okay with it there because it made sense, and I'm okay with the cars here because they make sense. But I'm very tired in general of the thematic sets being a thing. I want to sit down on an Ixalan again, and I want to be enraptured by the story and by the setting. The fact that Ixalan exists, what the new Ixalan set is a fluke. And we have confirmation by the design team that it was a fluke, because the design team pointed out, hey, this set was never supposed to be set on Ixalan. We wanted to do a Journey to the Center of the Earth style of set, and halfway through design, we realized it probably should be Ixalan, so we added dinosaurs to it. So I know that with even though, yes, Ixalan gave me the thing that I wanted, it was a fluke. So I want more of it. Give me more of those flukes.
Because wasn't I know it was rumored, I don't know if this was ever confirmed, that Murders was supposed to be set on New Capenna.
I've not heard
that.
Anything
Absolutely
about that.
Tracks, though. I don't know that, but that makes so much sense.
I've heard folks talk about it. I have no idea if it's more just like fan speculation.
It would have
But,
made
like,
way more sense.
So what what I have heard, and this is just again layers of this is so much telephone, but the issue with why you can't have a detective set on New Capenna is because there aren't cops.
Okay, so Mark, I just looked this up. Apparently, Mark Rosewater did mention that New Capenna did not. The New Capenna could not have it because there was not strong law enforcement on New Capenna.
Yeah,
I think. Pardon the pun. I think that's a cop out.
Yep.
And
I think that
the reason I think it's a cop out is, yeah, you don't have a strong law enforcement presence on New Capenna, but after Xander died, after Omnixilus destabilized all of the families, that leaves a vacuum for law enforcement to become established.
After the fucking Phyrexian invasion?
Yes, it's almost like the concept of competent law enforcement could be brought in. Can you imagine for a moment, just spitball with me for a moment?
Okay.
So we all know that an angel tried to screw up New Capenna, and an angel failed doing so. That was Atraxa. Henzi dropped a building on her.
Yep.
Cool. That's great. So can you imagine one of the billions of angel clones from Ravnica that are part of the Boros Legion just kind of passing through a portal into New Capenna and going, none of this is right. None of this is okay. And then suddenly an outpost of angels, a group of people who on New Capenna would be more threatened by the populace anyway because of the halo that everybody is used to having flow there.
Now
a group of angels that are built to be law enforcement go to New Capenna and establish an outpost and become law enforcement as a form of survival, and because it's what they know from Ravnica.
Yeah,
you have all the pieces.
It's right
put
there.
Them together.
It is now that you spell it out like that. Like, yeah, no, that is truly right there. God damn. I mean, there's exactly one compelling argument I can make for murders being set on Ravnica.
If it begins and ends with fuck Tessa Karlov.
Hey, easy there. Come on. Now.
I agree with you, but maybe not in the way you're implying.
Oh no, I was gonna say Gruul Mole God.
Gruul Mole God.
Anzrag
the Quake Mole, motherfucker. Anzrag the fucking Quake Mole. Like, I'm sorry. I am a child. I like a 4-mana 8/4 that gives me extra combat steps.
So would it make you happy to know that in the Magic the Gathering tournament this last weekend, there was a player playing Shroom, playing a big artifact engine and ramping with artifact ramp exclusively, and Anzrag's Rampage is a lovely Magic the Gathering card.
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, that is
the moment of I cast this and everybody just passes it around the table reading, going, oh, I didn't know they made Vandal Blast 2.
Yeah, they made Vandal Blaster.
they made Vandal Blaster and it has Anzrag in it.
Yeah, like, so that's the one good reason for us to be on.
And it's solely that you want Anzrag.
Yes.
Okay, can I maybe raise you Anzrag in an actual Ravnica set that matters?
Yes, but that hasn't happened yet, and we have this one. So I'm cope. This is cope. This is
all copium.
I am straight coping right
directions. Now. You got me thinking with the angel stuff, and this is just another example I feel of, like, okay, where can we take the Magic story in a post-aftermath, post-Phyrexian invasion world that still feels like Magic, but also takes advantage of the story beats that have happened? And it got me thinking about, like, why haven't we seen any kind of, like, war between... I'm specifically thinking in terms of, like, the different types of angels and, like, the omen paths being open so the angels from one plane could feasibly go to war against the angels of another plane. But, like, you could do that for literally any group. And I mean, in the wake of a Phyrexian invasion, it would be so easy to have, okay, this plane's natural resources are drying up, or this thing happened to the core of their plane, or, like, they have some reason that they need to go and take the resources from something else, and you have very easily crafted like political conflict.
So, as an example, to piggyback off of that idea, vampires on Zendikar live a little over 200 years old because they are born from a blood plague. Vampires in Innistrad are basically immortal because they are born of a demon bargain. Vampires in... God, what plane is Sengir trapped on, right? Oh, Sengir's not trapped on a plane anymore.
No. Oh, no. Oh,
Oh,
Sengir's
no!
really not trapped on a-
Sengir's
oh,
not
no.
trapped on a
Oh,
plane
shit.
anymore!
Oh, shit.
Oh, God!
Oh, no.
So... that I just hit that realization of, wait, hold on a minute.
Yeah,
and
no,
Openpath had to make it to wherever Sengir's trapped.
Yeah. Oh, no.
So if you have the vampires from Zendikar, Draena's little cabal of vampires that understand that their cult got born because of a curse, effectively a disease from the Eldrazi, and they go to Innistrad, they see the aristocracy in Innistrad, and then they look and see the moon and go, the fuck's up there? The fuck's that? Why do you have that up there? What is wrong with you guys?
And see, and that's the kind of cross, and as resident vampire enjoyer on the pod, I would love that. But that's the kind of cross plane intrigue I think they should be building on, because it feels like Magic while still allowing new things to happen in terms of gameplay, while still exploring new facets of planes that people love.
You're going to unironically make me start writing Magic the Gathering fanfic. I hope you know that. I don't do that, but apparently I'm going to have to now.
You're welcome.
Because I have new videos to make on my channel.
I mean, honestly, look, if you want to riff fucking fanfic lore, let's go. Dang. Shit, no, now I need to, how would Zendikar vampires deal with the Emrakul moon? Yeah.
What happens when you take angels from Innistrad? Oh my god. What happens when you take angels from Dominaria?
Okay.
So Sarah's brood of angels, basically.
Yeah.
You have them go to Innistrad, and they go, how did you guys come to be? And they're like, a vampire made us. A what? A who? What is the fuck? What are you talking about? Yeah, and one of our sisters went hyper genocidal. Many of our sisters went hyper genocidal on everyone.
Most of them.
Avacyn tried to go full cleansing. Bruna and Gisela got turned into tentacle monsters. Jury's out on whether or not they became hotter when they did. No,
the jury's not out. They did. Let me stop you right there, Chief.
So, and then after all of that, you then get the Zendikar angels who, they're all blind, basically.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of staring around like, I hope there's no plane anywhere where a group of gangsters try to harvest me for my blood.
Jesus.
So is that pretty much putting, I feel, a capstone on our Aether Drift conversation, even though I feel like we didn't end up talking too much about the actual set.
We started talking more about what we would have liked in a cross-plane set.
I think that thematically we addressed Aether Drift. Our inability to stay on topic about Aether Drift is, I think, all that we need to say on Aether Drift.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like it is very much this. Well, not even. I was gonna say I feel like it's this year's Murders at Karlov Manor, but
yeah,
honestly, that is a set that and maybe I will warm up to Aether Drift over time too. But Karlov Manor is a set that I have come to like and appreciate a bit more over time, and at least right now, I don't hate Aether Drift, but I don't see myself warming up to it like I have some of the other sets over time.
I think that it's like Murders in that it has interesting limited mechanics and very good lands.
Yeah. Continue. Yeah. I'm more interested in what are they gonna? They keep coming up with new lands each time. I'm so curious what they're gonna think of next.
I really like the Verges.
I think the verges are great, but we've gotten to a point where you basically have like a number of free shock lands that don't need to deal damage to you anymore, and we're getting a bunch of them at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
think
we've completed the cycle.
I think what they're gonna be doing from here on out, what I would like first of all is for them to complete some land cycles.
Oh, yeah.
I want the Murmuring Bosk land to get 9 other lands that care about tribes while still
Which one?
having a single type. Murmuring Bosk is a forest that
Okay.
can tap for green for no life, or it can tap for white or black by paying 1 life, and it can come into play untapped if you reveal a tree folk. It's one of my favorite lands in Magic because I can tap a Crow's Verge and I can grab a Murmuring Bosk and stare at my opponent and go, I didn't have to pay $15 for a Triome.
Oh, that's
And
a
this
30-cent land. This kicks ass.
Yes, I
Wait.
as somebody...
No, it's tree folk. I swear to God, there's more of these, aren't there?
There are more tribal lands like this, but Murmuring Bosk is the only one that is multicolored and typed and works this way.
Oh,
so like
the type.
That's so like you could have a swamp
Yeah.
one that's Mardu and wants you to reveal a vampire. Would make
Yeah.
perfect sense. You could have a Naya one that is a plains and wants you to reveal a beast. You could have a Teamer one that wants you to reveal a dragon. Like you've got a bunch of different typal associations. I would like to see more of that because I love cards like Charitable Levy and Wood Elves that grab a single land type and therefore can grab, multicolored lands. But the only options we have for budget players, and most of my thoughts are always going to be on budget players. When it comes to budget players, your options are the cycling lands, which they haven't completed the cycle for yet. They still need to do that. The Kaldheim duels and the Dominaria duels, which they did finish the cycle for.
Yeah, but they're not great.
I think they're fine. I think they're fine.
They're fine. They're fine. They're a fetchable Guildgate.
Yeah, if I'm tapping a Crow's Verge and the lands are coming into play anyway, tapped, or if I'm using a Ranger's Path and the cards are coming into play tapped anyway, I'd rather them be dual lands than basic lands, and those
absolutely.
lands let me do that.
Yeah.
So like we've got those options. Outside of that, we have the Tango lands, but much like with the cycling lands, the Tango lands only exist as half a cycle. We haven't gotten the other half of the Tango lands. We haven't gotten the other half of the bicycle lands. I want them to complete those cycles so budget players have access to that, but I want us to get more of the Murmuring Bosk Triomes because one of the number one complaints I've seen from budget players is how hard it is to build a Wooburg deck on a small budget. I don't think it's very hard, but then again, I'm like very, very knee deep in the stats of Magic. A newer player is not. So a newer player that wants to make a Wooburg deck and they buy like the Jared Carthelian deck and they get the mana base that is gag worthy in that deck.
Do you think the Carthelian mana base is better or worse than the Slivers precon?
So I think they're both, they're very similar actually, aren't they?
They're both very heinous.
Like they're both really bad. I think that the decks should not be running the slow fetches.
Yeah.
I think that the decks if they're gonna
slow fetches, but yeah.
I don't like the slow fetches because I like I like the tapped duels. So if I have a slow fetch that's grabbing a tapped duel, it hurts me twice.
Yeah, I guess I just like the art on the slow fetches.
That's fair. I love the art on them. I agree with you there. I do like the art of the slow fetches. I didn't mind them in the Carthelian precon because they look cool alongside the other lands that are in there. But as far as lands go, I want them to give us the cycles that are incompleted right now. And like we need the Canopy Vista cycle completed. There are 6 lands out of that. We need 4 more. I want the River of Tears cycle completed. They've already taken a lot of those Zendikar wacky lands and turned them into full land cycles. So give me the Nimbus Maze and the River of Tears cycles complete.
Yeah.
And then on top of all of that, give me that weird Murmuring Bosk Triome. Give me more of those. I want all of the options for building budget decks so that I can build things for budget players and have more options besides here is a Gates deck.
Yeah. Oh my, but like also just like the Murmuring Boss, like that would be such an interesting like brewing challenge as well, to be like, okay, I have to go, if I'm going Wooburg, it needs to be like non-creature type specific / I might want to have like a couple redundant different creature types just so that I can make this come in and do
Or
some
change,
shit.
or if you're running like most typal decks, you've got a couple changelings in there,
Yeah.
and the changelings solve that problem quickly. It was like, here's my Realm Walker, guys. My land comes into play untapped.
Yeah, no, I'd love that. Oh my god. Like,
I just
think-
selfishly want full art dual lands again. Like every time I crack one of the full arts from Call Time or Crimson Vow or Midnight Hunt, I'm like, man, why not in every set have full art beautiful dual lands?
I mean,
Yeah.
there's definitely full art verges, but
No, there absolutely are, but I want more. I want them all.
Give me a full art Tangled Islet. I like Tangled Islet. It's a bad duel from Dominaria, but I like it, and I'll take a full art.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck yeah. I feel like this like kind of orbiting like budget discussion might be a fun way to springboard into anyone's thoughts on the new update for Commander, because like we're mostly talking about building budget Commander decks, and that's maybe going to become, I don't know.
It's an improvement over what we had, and it still doesn't solve the problems.
I agree that it doesn't solve all problems, but I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree. It's a step in the right direction. Let me for full context, I made a video on this, and my takeaway in my video was I like this system a lot. I do not think it does enough. I'm glad that this is a beta because it needs to be doing more, and there are certain things that are really, really poorly defined. And there was a point somebody made to me in my comment section that I have to latch onto, and that is that I feel like players with the current system, the new system, are going to be latching onto those game changer cards as the be all end all of deck power level discussion instead of what their deck's doing and how consistently it does it, because players never knew how to judge that to begin with.
I think that, so before we get into like that kind of nuance, I would like to kind of go over just
let's do a broad strokes of what it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this the 5-bracket system as announced by Wizards of the Coast 2 days ago from time of recording, 1 day ago, I don't know what time is anymore, is basically the like Wizards retooling of the power level system that like a lot of Commander players have been using to say like how strong their deck is.
Yeah, and they're always a 7.
Now everything's a 3. And we'll get to that in a second. But so now we've got a bracket system of 1 to 5, and I'm just gonna run through each of their kind of like broad criteria. And then let's get into it. So tier or bracket 1 is labeled exhibition, quote, your ultra casual Commander deck. This doesn't include any mass land destruction, no 2-card infinite combos, no game changers, we'll define that in a bit, and maybe 1 or 2 tutors. This is kind of the this is your ladies looking left decks, where it's more theme and vibes, very, very low powered Commander. Like you're playing Commander because you feel like playing some bullshit Magic with friends. You're not necessarily going for the win. I can say up front that this is where I'm going to be living as a brewer for a very long time. If this can be a good shorthand, like Rule 0 discussion, I love that. Bracket 2 is core, so this is, quote, the average precon. No MLD, no chaining extra turns, no 2-card infinites, no game changers, and a few tutors. So basically, exhibition, but the deck's good. The deck's consistent, probably kind of playable. Bracket 3 is upgraded, so, quote, beyond the strength of an average precon. Still no mass land destruction, still no chaining extra turns. You might have some higher mana 2-card infinites and up to, quote, 3 game changers. Bracket 4 is optimized, quote, high power Commander. It's time to go wild. and there's no restrictions here other than the current commander ban list. And then 5 would be CEDH, which is 4, but keeping in context like competitive metagame and, you know, a lot of focus on game actions, triggers, and like really maintaining like the tightest play state that you can.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at this and I like these as kind of guidelines for what kind of a game do I want to play tonight. Like they're good kind of, it's not describing what the deck does, it's describing how you want the game to go, and this is a deck that would fit within those parameters, or at least that's kind of my understanding of it. And for there, I think that it's much better than being like, well, my deck's a 4. What kind of game are you trying to play with a 4? Do you want to try it against a 7? How are we judging 4 and 7 versus like, yeah, I just got this precon. It's basically the same thing, except I swapped out like 2 or 3 cards. And I mean, my first question is which precon and what 2 or 3 cards? Because
that's the other thing that I'm like, I always run into. Somebody's like, yeah, no, it's a slightly modified precon. It's like, okay, is it modified precon as in you took out a mana rock and put in a 1/1 creature that goes with the theming, or is it modified precon as in you took out something and added Blood Moon?
Yeah, like did you take the Eternal Might precon, swap the commander out to Heshaton, and then swap 20 cards, and now you've got 1 step left of a CEDH list? Because if you've seen the CEDH brewers with Heshaton, they're going wild right now.
Like, oh my god. I just remember playing this one game against the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Is it precon?
Oh, Stella Lee. Yeah, no, she's she's 1 step left of a CEDH commander on her own.
Yeah, and someone's like, "Oh, I've swapped a few cards out," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's a precon, sure."
Yeah,
and
but you put in involuntary employment.
Yeah.
And now, for those who are listening and may not know, involuntary employment goes infinite with Stella Lee.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm like, which, I mean, like, was I blindsided at the table? Yeah. Was it fun as hell to watch? Yeah, go for the combo. Like, that's great. But, like, I don't think that would be a bracket 2 deck.
No, it's not a bracket 2 deck. It's very much at that point you've got a bracket 4 deck, because the deck's not going to compete at a CEDH table. It's not.
Right.
You're not going to deal with like a Tymna deck or a Kinnan deck and be able to function with that Stella Lee deck just swapping out a handful of cards. But if your upgraded precon is 40 cards upgraded, and that's getting rid of the tapped lands, adding in the Moxen, adding in Gamble, adding in Mystical Tutor, adding in 4 or 5 of the Infinites, and then putting in Fierce Guardianship and Mana Drain and Force Will.
Yeah.
Then at that point, we're looking at your Stella Lee deck and going, this looks like a CDH combo deck. This is like a tier 3 CDH combo deck.
This maybe inexplicably wins at a couple of tables.
This will win at every CDH table where I'm not sure if either of you have done CDH before.
I've played some CDH. I haven't played much since the banning.
So you know when that initial player A plays Demcon, player B counters it, player C is sitting there looking at their Angel's Grace going, is it time? Is it time? Is it time? And you see the stat get big, and then everybody's resources are depleted and they're waiting for their heuristic studies to get them their stuff back.
Yeah.
In that moment where people are waiting a turn cycle to get their stuff back, that's where Stella Lee comes in, wins the game, and walks away.
Yep. That
is the definition of a tier 3 deck, where it's not in there in the forefront of the first slew of attempts to win the game, but it most certainly is doing it on turn 3 and 4 during that cycle of calm.
Yeah. If it can survive the first onslaught, yeah, you get there.
And it usually survives the first onslaught by not doing anything in it, unless it also depends on where the player is in the table. So like the Stella Lee player has a better chance if they are person 2 to the right of person 1, because then they're last in the priority cycle. So like they've got a better chance of winning that game because they're the one who is least responsible for stopping the win con. So there's an aspect of luck with your pod there too.
Right. But I mean, you're also on Is It, so you're kind of banking on that bullshit.
Yeah, like the other thing is if you've got a fierce guardianship, the Demcon, and you don't have a follow-up counterspell for when you try to go off, that feels bad.
Yeah. But yeah, so like just getting back to the brackets, like I don't think this accounts for that kind of a situation where like it's because I think that you could even, you go from a 2 to a 3, like 3 game changer cards, which I mean, maybe we should just get into in a second. Like a lot of the cards that you just mentioned for upgrading a Stella Lee
they're game changers,
but only a couple of them are technically listed in here. I guess
True.
which is why, I mean, like we were talking about before we really started recording, this list probably needs to be expanded about 3 times over for what constitutes as a game changer. Like, I would say that all but 2 of these cards, I'd say are like, oh yeah, these are reasonable game changer cards.
Like they're staples in so many decks, even that don't really punch at a CEDH level.
I'm curious, which cards on this list would you say are staples in non-CDH decks?
No,
I would say like stuff like Rhystic Study.
I disagree, actually. I disagree. I don't think Rhystic Study is or should be a staple of any Magic the Gathering deck.
Yeah, Rhystic Study can suck a fuck.
I feel like it is a card that by design was never meant for a pod of multiple players, and B, in blue, the options you have for drawing are so massive that even though Rhystic Study is the tippy top of that power scale of like this is one of the best mechanics for drawing in blue, there are other fairer, more fun ways of drawing. Anybody who says that their deck needs the Rhystic Study as a staple, I feel like just is incorrect in that statement.
I have a Rhystic Study. I have never put it in a deck. It's just one of those things that
You should do it. It's fun.
No,
No.
If I want to draw cards, I'll do it the old-fashioned way by blasting people in the face and turning Lightning Bolt into a fucking Ancestral Recall.
Oh, and
no,
Niv Mizzet.
it's fun.
Yeah. No.
One of my favorite card draws in the game then, Trouble in Pairs. My sweet baby, Trouble in Pairs.
So Trouble in Pairs runs into the same style of issue, though it's less egregious than Rhystic Study. It's
also because it's one of the only consistent card draws in white.
You know what's funny? I do want to push back on that because we've gotten set by set so many only good card draws in white that I think we've hit critical mass of that's not a statement anymore.
Yeah, like Trouble in Pairs is such good card draw.
It is such good card draw, but it is the style of card draw that warps the game around itself a little bit.
Yeah.
If players are not, and this is a non-argument, if players are not willing to use removal against it, then you run into and they're not willing to use removal as the first spell they cast. Period. Or they don't have instant spells that they can use on other players' turns to kind of get around the build-up. Trouble in Pairs draws you not at the same rate as Rhystic Study, but it certainly does get you a lot of things really quickly. My issue with Trouble in Pairs, as good as the card is, and it is one of the best card draws in white, period. My issue is that players in general do not run enough answers for Trouble in Pairs, and it sticks around at tables way too long unless you've got somebody who has dealt with the card enough to go, hey, that's gotta go. That doesn't sound dangerous, but it is.
I would say,
yeah, I guess it is.
In general,
it is
I think people don't run enough, I would say, removal for enchantments in general.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. I think for a fun question, if you are choosing a counterspell to go into your deck and you have a choice between Essence Scatter and Negate, which one are you probably gravitating towards first?
I mean, I like Negate.
Okay, that's a vote for Negate.
I mean,
Like they're basically the same.
No, they're completely
No, wait,
different.
wait. No, one is
One is creatures, one is
non-creature.
non-creatures.
and I'm going for negate.
Probably, yeah.
I don't
like
give a shit about a
probably
creature. I can blast it.
negate.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So we're all in agreement that negate is probably the more applicable counterspell most of the time, because players are throwing a board wipe at you, you're getting rid of it. Player drops trouble in pairs down, you're getting rid of it. Creatures can be gotten rid of via any manner of ways. Enchantments tend to dodge things like board wipes. Players do not run enough ways to get rid of enchantments. I agree with that, but living in the world where players in general are not running enough ways to get rid of it does taint my philosophy towards the card, because the card doesn't get to exist in a vacuum. No card does.
Yeah. It is only made better the less experienced the table is.
Yeah, and it's the same issue that Ristic Study has, to be fair. We're like, the dumber the table is, the higher the power level of that card.
Yeah.
The minute I have seen somebody play a Ristic Study and they're 7 cards deep into their deck and it's only been 2 turn cycles, and I'm just sitting there staring at the table going, what the hell are you guys doing?
Yeah, no, I've gotten much more responsible recently. Just don't feed it. Don't feed the fish. It's not worth it.
Like, man,
Like,
I don't. It's not like Mystic Remora, where it's limited in what it benefits from, and the player has to actively sacrifice turns in order to keep it on the board. The Ristic Study is just, I've dropped it down, I can turn my brain off, things will come to me naturally.
right, like,
I'm good with that
is,
being a problem card.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm looking at some of the other the game
Well,
changers and
sorry, Bugs, you go.
No. If we've got more thoughts on Ristic Study,
Yeah, go ahead.
and pairs.
Well, it's not on Ristic. It's just like on the things that I'm like, okay, what are the other ones? Like, what are the other cards that I've popped down or other people pop down? And I'm like, oh, fuck, shit, here we go. And like, I'm surprised that even like Exquisite Blood isn't on here.
Exquisite Blood not being on here.
Not on its own.
It makes sense that it's not on here because it's there was a thing that Gavin mentioned in the last bracket update when the Commander Rules Committee got disbanded, and it was the problem of trying to identify cards that are very good and synergistic in a series of decks, but only become a problem when you glue them to another card. So like if you're playing a Golem deck, for instance, the one that like taps you and gives you the infection, and now every turn if you've gained life, that player burns. So like that deck is running Bloodthirsty Conqueror and it's running Exquisite Blood 100% of the time, because all the damage Golem is putting towards somebody is now being converted into effectively lifelink. And that's just a good thing for that deck to be running, period. Doesn't become a problem until they put the Sanguine Bond in.
Yeah.
Once they put the Sanguine Bond in, it becomes an issue. And at that point, is it the Exquisite Blood that should be on the Sanguine Bond? And if it's the Sanguine Bond, if it should be both, because they only are problematic when glued to one another, then do we put in all 9 Sanguine Bond cards?
Right.
Yeah, I guess that's...
I mean,
yeah, okay,
like,
I understand that.
I guess I'm mostly just looking... There's 2 cards on here that I'm like, yeah, they're like good, I guess, but I've never seen... I don't know what table is running them.
Mm-hmm.
That would be Expropriate. Like, it's a 9-mana card in blue. Who cares?
Oh, so Expropriate is being ran at the CDH tables, period. That's where that's
really
being ran. So
okay. I've never run into it in CDH, but that also might just be the pods that I've played in.
So as an example, let's say you're playing a deck with Dimir colors in it, and you've got a Bolas of Citadel in the deck, which is also on the Game Changers list. That Expropriate's coming down for 9 life.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because CDH games are as fast as they are, that 9 life is easy to come by because nobody's hitting you in CDH. Like, that's not happening.
Yeah, I guess tables. Also in the CDH context, it's probably great in a Yuriko deck.
Yeah, it's great in a Yuriko deck because it's a 9-mana card off the top of the deck.
Yeah, you're doming. Okay. Okay. The other one I'm looking at, or if you got more to say, go.
Oh no, go on.
I was just gonna say, I'm like, Tabernacle?
Tabernacle confuses me a bit. Reading the Tabernacle, I understand the thought process because it's a smokestacks that
Yeah.
cuts off your mana instead. So like I understand I get it, but
the Tabernacle's the one that I'm like, even in the most like it's the most proxy friendly format.
nobody's running it.
No one's running Tabernacle. Like
I think
anyone, like it feels like a holdover. It and like Sarah's Sanctum, I don't think is nearly like. Is it as good as Gaia's Cradle? No. Is it pretty good? Yeah. But like no one, like it feels like a holdover from like, oh, we need to be banning like power. We need to be banning like just reserve list cards when we can. Or not banning, but like. But
well, so what I think the reason is that those are considered game changers is that they specifically talk about how in core there is no like mass land denial. So I think the expectation is that like any powerful lands won't be able to be countered in lower rankings and lower brackets.
Because at your lower brackets, most of what you're using is like Beast Within and Generous Gift to crack out.
So I think like the removal, the idea that people would be able to blow up a land like that could be
it's
pretty powerful.
Yes, but also who's playing a Tabernacle in their power in their core?
No, I totally agree with you. I think it is, but I think it is more just like covering that eventuality.
That I see that, but if you're like power gaming it like a 2-bracket table, like buddy, what's going on at home?
Understandable. I think my thing with Tabernacle, it does seem weird, but it only seems weird because I've not personally fought against anybody using Tabernacle, even at like in a proxy game. It's not something that I've dealt with.
Right, I haven't dealt with it either, but it just seems like, especially because it's like it's such a oh my god, what's the word? Like it's an equal distribution effect situation.
It never is. It never is.
Fair.
Let's be 100% fair.
Okay,
Grave Pact is never equal.
That's fair. That's fair.
Grave Pact.
And I guess it's colorless, so you could Grave Pact. Like I'm seeing it, but also just like Tabernacle. Like that's. I mean, go for it. But
I think if Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale's on here, I would want Smokestacks to be on here for similar reasons.
Yeah.
Because like Smokestacks is performing a very similar role to the Tabernacle and is also colorless. So like I would like that gone too if we're going to talk about Tabernacle. This is coming from somebody who's one of my favorite decks is Savra, Queen of the Golgari, who is just a Grave Pact glued to a pair of really nice legs.
Okay, but like, so if
do you also run Grave Pact and Dictate of Erebos in that deck?
Absolutely. If I'm sitting down at the table and I show you Savra and you read it and you comprehend what it is, you have two options. Ask me to play something else or be honest about what you were planning to play, which is why I brought it out in the first place.
That's my philosophy with my 3-shoulder deck.
That's reasonable.
And my 3-shoulder deck also has some very fun cards from here, like Tergrid, God of Right.
Yeah, I took Tergrid out. I used to have Tergrid in Savra. I took Tergrid out because the types of games that Tergrid creates are ones I did not want to have.
They're not fun for other people, no.
Yeah, Tergrid warps the game into a game of archenemy very quickly, whereas Savra is a table policeman, is what it effectively is.
I had to learn how people felt about Tergrid firsthand because I cracked her. I thought she, looked cool. I had never actually played a game with her. And that's how I basically suss out what a card can actually do is I play with it. And I put her into the Grixis Winter deck from Duskmourn, which is
the Jund.
Yes, Jund. Sorry, not Grixis.
Sorry.
And for those who don't know, Winter in Duskmourn, the card that you can pull from packs is incredibly oppressive, and it is incredibly easy.
Your hand size is whittle.
Yeah, get hand sizes down to like 1 and or 2 for everybody. And so what I essentially created was this nightmare circus for everybody where nobody was able to like have a hand size, and also everybody kept having to sack their board and also kept having to like discard constantly. There's a fun card called, I think it's Pit of Despair.
Yeah.
Or Pit, the one
Which
that you discard a card at the beginning of each upkeep.
There's a lot of those.
Yeah.
Wait, were you running the rack in there?
Yes, I was.
Good.
Yeah, and it was a very fun deck for me because I had like Varigoth, Bloodsky Sire, and I had some other awful nightmare bullshit. But it was so unfun, and I learned about how much people hated Turgid from playing that deck, and
Mhm.
I have yet to play Turgid again.
There is something to be said about how it feels to be the person that creates that dynamic at the table. You're just like, I didn't like doing that.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't feel good. Except, like I said, I have a shoulder deck that I built specifically for that purpose. If I ever get potted up with people who deserve it,
Yeah, that's why I keep Savra as she is. There are certain so fun fact. There's a. I didn't use Savra for this, but there's a deck I made recently that is Ruby Daring Tracker. If you're familiar with what she does,
yeah,
I'm familiar. I need to look her back up again.
Golgari, and she can tap for mana. That's it. That's all she does.
What I thought. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That is one of my most powerful commander decks. So
yeah,
there is a person at my LGS who is routinely the I'm not playing a CDH deck, but oh, look at all of these cards that are consistently in CDH lists that just happen to be in my deck, but mine's not CDH because it didn't have a Mana Crypt in it. Back when Mana Crypt was
how often do they say like, yeah, no, I never draw all these cards at the same time. This is crazy.
This never happens.
Wow. It's
So I was paired up with him at the table, and I just went, you're a problem player. Every time we've been in a table, you have been the person for the last 4 years who has needed to be policed the most. Cool. Excellent. I'm going to play Ruby. This is going to be my stress test of Ruby. If Ruby can keep up with your bullcrap, then Ruby is doing her job well. My God, the feeling of being able to just utterly overpower somebody when they're playing Henzi and repeatedly dropping an Atali down for free and getting the cast trigger off of everybody's library every turn.
Yeah.
The Gruul Atali, not Red Atali.
Yeah. Good Atali.
Yeah, well, they're both good Atali, but
better Atali.
Constantly getting that effect every time, and then being able to just absorb all of that and go, it doesn't matter. Mine are bigger.
Do you have a list handy?
Great. I do, actually.
I would love to live react to this list because sounds...
Here.
It sounds heinous.
Like I said, I have there was a similar player who I will say is probably very into like net decking and building stuff out based off of websites. And every time I've played against his Thraxamundar, I've had I would say, overwhelming negative experience. And I told him point blank at one point, if you pull out Thraxamundar again, I'm pulling out Shuldrit. And I have not had to play with Thraxamundar yet. Again.
There you go.
Deterrence works.
Threats work. Threats do work. Give me...
It's like the Cold War, but for people who don't go outside. No offense.
Cold War for people who don't know what the cold is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
basically.
As someone who doesn't play, it's like it's just insane. If you take out your Thraxamundar, oh, you're in for a rude awakening.
Here we go.
I'm dropping
the Ruby list. There you go.
Full power Ruby. Let's take a look at this. Alrighty.
If you want to click view options and sort it by type and tag, I have all the cards sorted by function.
Cool. Ape. Oh, this is heinous. Ooh, Dragonhawk's great.
Mm-hmm.
Apex Devastator, love to see it. Dinosaur, another ape. Enduring Courage, that's very fun. Terror of the Peaks, we love to see it. Dragon Broodmother, we love to see it.
The fact that the interaction for Terror of the Peaks, when Terror of the Peaks interaction with Cascade is funny as hell when people discover what that is.
Oh.
I cascade into terror. Okay, terror comes down. Take 10. No, what are you talking about? Take 10. Well, technically, it came down first, so everything else comes down after. Take 10.
Yeah, that's how the stack do be doing. Ooh, aggressive mammoth. I love to see that. This is sick.
So, the concept of the deck is very simple. Turn 1 is your nothing turn. Turn 2 is Ruby. Turn 3 is a 4 mana ramp of some variety, and the deck is running most of them. There's like 3 it's not running right now. After that 4 mana ramp, you stop caring about the commander. You stop caring about anything. It is all hands on deck. It is all violence. Cast a 6 mana spell, cast a 7 mana spell, cast an 8 mana spell.
Yeah, the curve on this is actually insane. Oh, Quilled Great Worm's awesome. Toski, very fun. Yeah, no, I love this. This is just heinous nonsense.
So there are 14 methods of spot removing cards, and there are 2 board wipes in the deck. One is Blast Act, because it's easy. 2, though, is Oblivion Stone. And Oblivion Stone is hilarious when you've ripped a Shia off the top.
Oh, yeah?
All my stuff is lands. Die.
Yeah. Yeah. I should put a Shia in more things. That's a fun interaction. Also, I love Elemental Bond. I love Decimate. Like,
Decimate's fantastic.
Decimate is one of my favorite cards. Like
with Fountain Port, Nykthos, Three Tree City, and the not Gaia's Cradle, the one from Ixalan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with all of those existing in a game, and Cabal Coffers, and Glacial Chasm, and Maze's End, and so many things.
Yep.
The amount of times that I've been able to just be like, I'm going to play Decimate, lose your commander, lose your Soul Ring, lose the enchantment, that's your draw engine. Oh, by the way, also lose that ramp piece. I have set you back to the Stone Age. You stopped being a problem for the rest of the game. I can focus on the other 2 players now.
Yep, it's just perfect. It's do Gruul shit. Like, God.
Spend 4 mana, kill 4 things. Sounds reasonable to me.
That is 4 different problems.
Mm-hmm.
Kessig Wolfrun, we love to see it.
Tyrant's Familiar has also been overperforming in that deck massively. Nobody's really prepared for turn 4 being a 7-drop that eats a creature off your board every turn and punches you for 7.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah.
It's like, we don't have to kill the commander, it's just a mana dork. We have to kill the commander now.
The commander must be removed, even though you can probably definitely recast it right after. Oh,
it's a dork.
Yeah. Oh, Drakaseth's fun. Yeah, this just kicks. This is just I love this deck. I'd love to play against it sometime.
This deck has no problem getting all of its pieces out in a timely fashion. This deck has no problem removing anything from anybody's board state. This deck has no problem ramping up to the speed of whatever bullshit thing somebody's doing at the table. It feels fantastically strong. The bracket system says it's a 2.
I mean, it is technically a 2.
It is technically a 2. I would never play this with somebody using a precon.
No, I'd play it the game after I play with them and be like, "Hey kid, you want to play with a gun?
You want to feel what it's like to snort cocaine?
You want to feel true power?" Like, this is just Gruul shithead stuff. I love it. Like, that is the second most Gruul deck I've seen in a second.
It also gives me the liberty to run 42 freaking lands.
God.
Because I can jam so many MDFCs into it.
Yeah.
They're just free includes.
It's MDFCs, like, honestly better than some duels and shit. Like, let's be real. But yeah, no, the only potentially Gruuler deck that I've seen of this is a friend of mine has a very similar concept. It's built around Rada that taps for mana, and it's Rada Cascade.
Makes sense.
It's awesome.
That makes sense.
It is just it's big shitheads. Honestly, you should put a Quake Mole in here.
I don't want to put Anzrag in.
Why not?
I don't think I have the same affinity for Anzrag as you do.
No,
That's
you
fair.
Bugs, you put Anzrag into anything gruel.
Yeah, I do. I put it into anything Gruul, anything Jund, anything Naya. Yeah, just check out like
Is Anzrag for you what Meteor Golem is for me?
very probably. No. No. Describe your affinity for Meteor Golem because I think I have a different answer than Enzrag.
If my deck can even for a split second sniff the idea of using his ability more than once a turn, he's an automatic include, and I am dominating somebody's board with my tiny 4-cent 3/3. They don't get pieces anymore.
Yeah, for me that would have to be Shiv and Wumpus.
Okay.
I'll fucking love Shiv and Wumpus. You flicker that motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep asking people, can I have it? You want land? I don't know. I just potentially a Stone Rained or a 6/6 Trampler. I can't. That's just honest magic.
Take your pick, which is happening.
Yeah. Do you Chumpus the Wumpus?
I like that Shiv and Wumpus is a Planar Chaos card because
Yeah.
it's just hunted Wumpus, but not hunted.
It's better hunted Wumpus. It's also there is straight up just some worm on the reserve list. That's it, but green.
Mm.
Let me. Oh my god. Yeah, it's Argothian worm.
Argothian worm?
Yeah. Shiv and Wumpus is just a color shifted Argothian worm.
Yep, it is.
like straight up.
Man, is this a reserve list card?
Yeah. It's an Urza Saga rare.
Huh. Looks like I'm buying an Argothian worm.
Yeah, I know, right? I love fucking cards that are inexplicably on the reserve list. Like Balduvian Hydra. It's not a good card.
Somebody on eBay. Oh, no, never mind. Listing was ended. I was looking for an
no.
Argothian worm, but oh well. We'll go to TCG Player. We'll get it from there then.
Brushwag's reserve list.
The almighty Brushwag?
Yeah.
Jesus. Yep, Argothian worm, heavily played, 78 cents.
Yeah. That's a fucking steal. Invest now.
Oh boy, this will be my first. It's not my first reserve list card, but I traded my other ones.
Jordan is silently writing down all of this for her investment advice. She's
Oh, no,
starting
Buy
to
now.
Right,
Joe.
Buy
there's
now.
somebody yelling right outside my apartment.
Brushwags are
they
through the
yelling?
roof.
Have you considered going outside of your apartment with a Brushwag and threatening them with it?
I thought you
Yeah.
were saying with a gun.
A brushwag's probably more useful than a gun.
How about Floa
That's true.
Maggots?
Invest
You s-
now.
You seen that episode of Yu-Gi-Oh that we only got in Japan, where Kaiba blocks the hammer of a freaking handgun using a trading card?
That kicks ass.
Like, the card is mightier than the gun.
Those are words to live by. I want that on my epitaph.
Oh my god. Other fun reserve list card, Griffin Canyon.
Griffin Canyon?
Yeah, tap to add one colorless to your mana pool or untap target Griffin. That Griffin gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
Huh.
Do we want to wrap up by talking about the Magic the Gathering movie announcement that was made earlier this week? Or I guess
They
last week.
keep an
Isn't this like the 5th time they've announced it?
yeah, I don't have anything to say other than I hope it's not it is too early for me to have a big take on it just because they do announce a Magic the Gathering movie every 7 days.
Wait, this is my shit. This is the one time I have something to add. Did they announce who's producing the film?
Legendary.
It's legendary.
Oh, I'm sure that'll be definitely a movie that will release.
It will
then.
certainly it
Okay.
will certainly potentially be and that's why I'm like it is so
I'm
there
sure
is-
it'll be like the Dungeons and Dragons movie. It'll be for the fans, TM.
I
See,
thought
I
the Dungeons and
heard
Dragons movie
nothing
was
but
fun.
good things about the
Yeah, that
D&D
Dungeons
movie.
and Dragons movie whips.
If you're a fan of D&D, it's a
not.
lot like, what was that?
I'm not really.
Oh, huh. I don't know. I'm much more critical than y'all, but like I ain't like Sonic 3. I know.
I adored Sonic 3.
Yeah, that'll get me killed in most places. Like,
Yep, and rightfully
keep-
so.
dude, I gotta keep that strap on me. And
I
like,
have, I
see
only
a
have
motherfucker
one.
dressing in blue near me. It's usually a Sonic fan.
I
So
have
I
a
could
Sonic
join
onesie.
I had to join the Bloods
Incredible.
just to
I-
protect myself.
I straight up. So, fun fact. Just a few weeks ago, I traveled to MagFest specifically to speak on a panel about Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh my
What'd you talk
god.
about?
So, this is my shit.
Dude, okay. Now I feel like I insulted someone's grandmother.
Oh
though.
no. You're allowed to like what you like, but what's your address for not ICBM reasons?
Dude, Sonic fans scare the shit out of me. Like I spoke on I haven't even done my review of Sonic 3 yet. I just put out like a first impression. I'm a film critic, by the way. Hi, I'm producer Rosa.
Yo,
I put out my first take on Twitter after I watched it. I was like, not really my thing. People were so pissed. Like people are not ready for my Sonic hot takes. I like Sonic Mania, but I think that's the only good Sonic game ever made other than Sonic the Fighters. And I will stand by that until I die.
that is a hill you can die on, and I expect you to die.
Okay.
I
You know
I don't
who
know.
else died? Jesus on the cross.
For like a week. For
Yeah,
like
he got
half a
over it.
week. He got over it. You'll be fine.
Much like him on the I don't know how the rest of it goes. I think that after the
You know
the
who else
old-
died for our sins? Sonic the Hedgehog, and was resurrected by a kiss of love
By Elise.
by Elise of
Jesus.
Soliana.
In Sonic 06.
Sonic the
in Sonic
Hedgehog
06.
is I don't know, he's gay. Not in a good way.
I do not.
He's gay, not gay derogatory.
He's gay
No,
derogatory.
he's gay, but like someone that like I'm like
Oh, he's gay like Pete Buttigieg is gay.
yeah, he's like my internalized homophobia.
I know.
You know-
I thought Sonic 3 was great. It only had one thing in it that I was not super keen on, and that was when the live and learn sequence started, they cut to the spanking scene and then cut back to the rock
Okay,
anthem. That was weird.
I have not seen a single Sonic movie. Pardon me, the spanking scene. What?
Do you want me to-
sorry.
so
Then
much-
you have to go into Sonic 3 completely blind then.
It's so much funnier in context. I really liked the I'm a big proponent of hashtag kill Jim Carrey. Not a big Jim Carrey person. However-
I mean, we've tried twice in the Sonic movies.
However, I did think he was all right in this. I liked the laser bit.
The laser
That
bit
was
was
fun.
the laser bit was good. I think if they used a different bit of music, it would have been fine. It was it was the piece of music they used in the movie for his ringtone, which was like exactly what that laser sequence would have been great with.
Yeah, the Chow
What?
Garden bit was the bit that was like okay.
The Chow Garden bit it didn't confuse me because there was no way they were going to give us an actual like Sonic Adventure 2 Chow Garden in the movie.
I thought it was just a bit pandery, but wait, Magic the Gathering podcast. I forgot. My bad. Sorry.
You get me on the Sonic tangent, I'll be here for hours. I do not apologize for what I am.
Oh, I do have one. I do have a Sonic story you'll like. Real quick. My first Sonic game was Sonic and the Black Knight for the Nintendo Wii.
Yeah.
And it was when I had to get a hand surgery. So I had one hand in my cast, and my neighbor came over, and I would be the nunchuck, and he would be the Wii remote. So we played Sonic and the Black Knight 2-player, which was kind of baller. That was fun. That
oh
was
my
a fun
god,
gaming experience.
I used to do that with my friends, but Super Smash Bros.
That's crazy.
It was nuts. It's really fun.
Cricket.
Anyway,
Yeah,
Magic
so-
the Gathering movie. looks
Magic the
pretty nice, right,
Gathering!
guys?
So
Yeah.
I'm excited for the Magic movie because it is Legendary. It's Legendary does not produce super lore accurate stuff, but they do produce fun stuff. So like I liked the Warcraft movie.
Yeah.
And
You're a
I'm
much happier person than I am. Wow.
yes, it's
You
surprisingly.
go out, you open up the blinds in the morning and you smile at the outside. I grimace and I say, "Ooh, it's a 4 out of 10 out there."
Yeah, I kind of
And I
wake
cry.
up excited to breathe. It's great. But
Logging
the
this one in
past
my
3
letterbox.
months, I've been like, "Ooh, I'm gonna give Bugs this movie again, a 3 out of 10 on the podcast."
I
Oh my God.
I have to be happy about something because the other half of my life is political activism, and that makes me want to kill myself. So
Well, communism is dead. Long live communism, etc., etc.
so
Long live cardboard.
I'm
Long live
excited.
cardboardism.
I'm excited
Cardboard
knowing that it's
memes.
legendary because the Warcraft movie was fun, and it had enough little bits of lore, even though they weren't fully accurate, that somebody who was a lore nerd was able to like grab onto it and go, okay, this is fun enough. So like recently, me and my girlfriend have been playing through World of Warcraft Classic Season of Discovery. And in Season of Discovery, they recently gave us a new dungeon called the Karazhan Crypts, which was an old World of Warcraft concept that they never expanded on from 20 years ago. They just released it now. And the amount of times I've been able to go, hey, look, it's that thing from the movie, has
Honestly,
been really fun.
that is nice. Yeah, like I mean, I hope that the eventual Magic film is. I just want it to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it because it's something where we can do a dumb crossover episode thing, which would
Oh,
be
that'd
fun,
be
but,
great.
I
live
I
content.
have the same opinion of this as I do for most things that get announced, like the Devil May Cry anime, and that is until it has a trailer, I don't believe it exists.
that's
Like there are
honestly a good philosophy.
so many things, especially in video games and video game adaptations, get announced to have like, oh, this is being produced by this person, and this is getting a film adaptation, and then it just never materializes.
90% of these things don't
Yeah.
come out. Like they're
That's-
So
supposed
when
to
it
be
has
in-
a trailer, when it has a
Yeah.
dumbass panel at Comic-Con, then I'll start taking
Yeah,
it
like,
seriously as a thing.
even like just some press around like casting.
Now featuring
Mhm.
director Uwe Boll.
like there's a
You know what? I'd take it.
No, I would not.
I would not.
Mm-mm.
I know. I'd be. Is
We
he
can
still
do better
even
than Uwe Boll.
active?
I think
Oh, we can do
No,
much
he
better.
like is running a fucking like restaurant in Alberta or some shit and boxing food critics or whatever the fucking
Yeah, no.
insane
I
thing is.
I want to see what he's give this version of him a camera. Let's go.
Bugs, will you box me if I don't rate your movie high enough?
I mean, if you want a box, sure.
Sure, I'm an amputee, but I think I could still beat the shit out of you.
I second this.
I feel like you'd be able to punch a little harder at that point. You'd be like, here's the nub, all into your,
Yeah,
just like
just
straight into
one
your gut.
force trauma, exactly.
On that note, y'all wanna wrap this one up?
Yeah, I think that's about all I've got to say for most things.
We've been casting a pod for about 2 hours now.
2 hours, yeah.
You said movie and I activated.
You said Sonic and I activated.
Well, and I do want to thank you, Cyrus, for coming on and yapping with us about Sonic, about Magic, Aether Drift, and all of this stuff. And where can people find your stuff to go give you a follow?
Sure, if they're interested in my Magic stuff, that's over at Suris MTG over on YouTube, Suris MTG. If you are interested in my live streams, that's over on Necosurus on Twitch or Necosurus Live on YouTube. And then as far as my political activism stuff, that's all going to be over on the main Surus channel, where I'm mostly covering the news. And if I have to go and canvass or I'm doing things with the local Democratic Party here as we're trying to oust Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's all going to be happening over there.
Based, wogue.
There's good MTG and bad MTG in her life, and I'm so sorry.
I unfortunately live in MTG's district, so when all the old people around me say we don't call her Marjorie, we call her MTG, I'm just like, man, that sounds even worse to me.
Marjorie the Gathering.
Marjorie the. Do you see the thing she did with Tim Pool, where they did a whole skit based on her being an Urza player?
What?
What?
Wait, you didn't know this was a thing?
What?
No.
Whoa.
Fucking
Oh my-
what?
Hold on.
Wait, are we pause? Wait,
What?
let's pause this outro. I'm doing a timeout in
Yeah,
this outro. We need to
Yeah,
see this.
no. Yeah, hold up. Drop that.
The
Yeah, no.
dialectic is advancing.
What?
Yep, hold on.
Dude, this is a new stage of commodity fetishism that I've never heard about. Holy shit.
Let's
Oh my
see
God.
here. What was it? Green MTG Tim Pool. Let me see if I can find it. Is it this one? I think it's this one. Yep, I found it. Here it is.
Oh my god. What the
Marjorie
What?
Taylor Greene destroys noob at
noobs.
Magic the Gathering. Dude,
Yep.
okay, fuck this. I'm a Republican now. God damn it. Lincoln was a friend of Marx. The Republican Party is the vanguard of the proletariat. That's it.
What?
This is awesome.
You've never seen this?
No, this is insane. What the
Oh, it's a deep fake.
What?
Oh, I've seen a ton of MTG deepfakes. Usually they're on different websites though.
Oh, okay, it's not a real thing. That scared the
Oh.
shit out of me.
Oh,
I
thought I was
I've
really
never
excited.
heard that it's a deep fake.
Watch her face here. Go to 314.
Animation by
Let's-
yeah, in the description.
Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. God,
This
I
makes
don't
it
know-
even. I don't know if this makes it funnier. I think it might make it. Because it's such a lame idea, and the fact that they couldn't even get the real MTG for it.
Yeah, no, like yeah, because like at that point, if you're doing this, like fucking do it. Like, what the
I'm going infinite.
Okay, Rosa, you should drop some of the audio into the pod from this. Just clip a little bit of it, show the people what they're missing, I guess.
I'm gonna level up my chronologist.
All right.
You have 1 turn left.
If I'm going down, I'm taking her with me. A wrath of God.
Monitor.
Oh, dude, Urza's ridiculous. This card's too OP, dude. Urza? You can't. It's like, why did they even make this guy? It's. Okay, house rules. No Urza in Commander.
You can't call a house rule because you're losing.
Good game.
He took it well.
Well, and I guess with that, do we want to resume our outro?
Yeah.
Sure.
Holy
Okie dokie.
shit.
Bugs, where can people find all your stuff?
Y'all can find me over on Blue Sky at Bugs Matrix. That's Matrix with a Y. At Attic Magic at Blue Sky and Bugs Matrix on Twitch.
And you can find me at Dead Domain on Twitter, Blue Sky, and YouTube. And I should have a video out relatively soon taking a deep dive into the bizarre subculture of Redemption, the biblical Magic the Gathering-esque trading card game.
Oh
And
my god.
I'm
Oh,
producer. And I'm producer Rosa, stand-up comedian and host of the Composting podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts.
I thought
Hell
you were
yeah,
going to say wherever you
composting.
get your cum.
Wherever you post your cum.
Yeah, it's true.
And thank you all very much for listening. Sorry, I'm going to take that again. Thank you all very much for listening, and we hope you will join us next time.
And pass the turn.
Great
Fuck.
job, guys! Great recording.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah! Go team!
Yeah.
Booyah sports! I don't
Podatog.
Podatog.
Wow, wait, great going, team.